Toolkit 11. Put yourself in my shoes. Intercultural Emotional Intelligence. Title of the activity: Put yourself in my shoes. Intercultural Emotional Intelligence. Aim of the activity: to help participants develop empathy and cultural self-awareness, recognizing how emotional norms and expressions can vary between cultures. The activity seeks to foster cultural understanding and sensitivity, promoting emotional adaptation in an intercultural environment. Activity description. This activity is based on a series of role-playing exercises in which participants briefly adopt the role of people from different cultures in common situations. Through this experience, they explore how they would react according to the emotional and cultural norms of the assigned context. At the end, the group reflects on how cultural differences can influence the interpretation and expression of emotions. Materials needed: cards with descriptions of cultural situations. See examples in the instruction section. Sheets of paper and pens for notes. Blackboard or flip chart for group reflection. Duration of the activity: 45 to 60 minutes. Group size: 10 to 20 people, with work in pairs or small groups. Step-by-step instructions. Introduction to Intercultural Emotional Intelligence. 10 minutes. Briefly explain the concept of emotional intelligence in the intercultural context. Emphasizes that cultures have different norms about emotional expression, and that understanding and adapting to these norms is key to interacting effectively in multicultural environments. Mention concepts such as cultural self-awareness and intercultural empathy. Role-playing, 5 minutes. Divide participants into pairs or small groups of 3 to 4 people and give them a card with a specific situation. Each card should describe a situation in which the emotional norms are different. Here are some examples of cards. Situation 1. You're an employee in a culture where showing strong emotions is considered inappropriate, even in moments of frustration. Your supervisor criticizes your work in front of your colleagues. Situation 2. You have recently moved to a country where direct communication and open expression are highly valued. In trying to adapt, you need to be more open about your opinions. But this is uncomfortable because you come from a culture where modesty and reserve are essential. Situation 3. In your new country of residence, eye contact is a sign of respect and trust. However, in your home culture, avoiding eye contact is a sign of respect towards authority figures. You have to have a difficult conversation with your boss. Discussion in pairs or small groups, 15 minutes. Ask each group to discuss the situation from the perspective of the migrant person facing the new cultural norm. Have them reflect on what emotions might arise in this situation. How could they manage these emotions to adapt to the new cultural norm? What emotional intelligence skills, self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, social skills would be useful in this case? Role-playing scenarios, 15 minutes. Each group can share a brief representation of their situation with the rest of the group, or simply explain how they would deal with the assigned intercultural challenge. The other participants can offer comments or suggestions on how emotions and reactions could be handled in that situation. Group reflection, 10 minutes. Facilitate a group reflection on the following questions. What emotional challenges did they face in the situations? How would emotional intelligence help them adapt to these cultural differences? What did you learn about the importance of self-awareness and cultural empathy in multicultural settings? Reflection and closing. Conclude by highlighting that cultural differences not only affect visible behaviors, but also the way we interpret and express our emotions. Remembering that each culture has its own rules about emotions can help us to be more understanding and avoid misunderstandings in cross-cultural situations. Simple assessment: intercultural learning map. Learning map, 5 minutes. At the end, give each participant a blank sheet of paper and ask them to draw a personal learning map of what they discovered about their own emotional intelligence in an intercultural context. This can include an aspect of their emotional intelligence that they want to improve, a strategy for managing your emotions in an intercultural environment, something new they learned about emotional expression in other cultures. Sharing reflections, optional, 5 minutes. If the group feels comfortable, they can share aloud some aspects of their learning maps, which can inspire others and promote greater awareness of the importance of emotional intelligence in cultural diversity. Activity variants. For large groups, instead of a role play, Each group can write their answers on large sheets of paper and hang them on the wall for the other participants to read and comment on. Online? The activity can be adapted to a virtual format, using meeting rooms for small group discussion and an online whiteboard tool for final reflection. Tips for the facilitator. Be sure to foster an atmosphere of respect and openness, remembering that cultural norms are different, not better or worse. Encourage participants to reflect on their own cultural norms and how these may influence their perceptions of other cultures. If sensitive or tense situations arise, validate the experiences and remember that this activity is an opportunity for mutual learning. Evaluation method. Evaluation is based on active participation in discussions and individual reflection through the intercultural learning map. This allows the facilitator to observe the understanding of intercultural emotional intelligence concepts and awareness of cultural differences in emotional expression. Additional notes. This activity is especially useful for multicultural groups or for people interacting in culturally diverse environments. It can be useful as preparation for international jobs or cultural exchanges, as well as for creating an atmosphere of respect and understanding in multicultural work environments. Chapter 6. Future Directions. Environmental literacy and emotional intelligence are two interrelated concepts that play an important role in the lives of refugee and long-term migrant communities, especially in post-war reconstruction contexts. Both capacities are fundamental to personal and community development and contribute to the adaptation and resilience of these communities in their new environments. Environmental literacy refers to the knowledge and understanding of environmental issues and the development of skills to participate in sustainable decision-making. For refugee and migrant communities, this type of literacy is crucial because they often face changing and unfamiliar natural and social environments. The ability to understand how to interact with their new environment, use natural resources sustainably, and adapt to local environmental management practices can significantly influence their quality of life. For example, in areas where agriculture is a key source of livelihood, understanding local sustainable agricultural practices can be vital for food security and self-sufficiency. Emotional intelligence, on the other hand, refers to the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own and others' emotions. In the context of refugee and migrant communities, developing emotional intelligence is critical to navigating the complex emotions associated with displacement, trauma, and adaptation to a new culture and society. The ability to manage stress, empathize with others, and communicate effectively can significantly improve interpersonal relationships and facilitate integration into the host community. In post-war reconstruction, both environmental literacy and emotional intelligence play a crucial role. Environmental literacy can be especially relevant in rebuilding infrastructure and communities that have been destroyed or damaged by war. Promoting sustainable and environmentally friendly practices during reconstruction not only helps to restore the local ecosystem, but can also create economic opportunities and improve the quality of life. For example, initiatives for reforestation, waste management, and green housing can be driven by an environmentally literate population. At the same time, emotional intelligence is vital to address the psychological and social challenges that arise in post-war communities. Refugees and migrants often bring with them experiences of trauma and loss, and the ability to process these emotions and build resilience is crucial to their emotional well-being and adaptation. Emotional intelligence can facilitate the establishment of support networks, foster community cohesion, and help resolve conflicts that may arise in the reconstruction and reintegration process. For refugee and long-term migrant communities, these skills are not only important at the individual level, but also have collective implications. Environmental literacy can empower these communities to become active agents in protecting and managing their environments, promoting sustainable development that takes into account the needs of both local people and newcomers. For example, in situations where natural resources are scarce, a shared understanding of sustainable resource management can prevent conflict and encourage cooperation between different groups. Likewise, emotional intelligence in a community context can facilitate intercultural dialogue and integration. By understanding and respecting the emotions and perspectives of others, refugees and migrants can build stronger relationships with the host community, contributing to a more inclusive and tolerant environment. This is particularly important in contexts where there are significant cultural and linguistic differences that could lead to misunderstandings or tensions. In sum, environmental literacy and emotional intelligence are key components in the process of adaptation and reconstruction of refugee and long-term migrant communities. These skills not only support individual survival and well-being, but also contribute to sustainable development and social cohesion in post-conflict communities. By integrating and collaborating in their new environment, refugees and migrants can play a vital role in building a more resilient and sustainable society. Future directions should focus on integrating these approaches to facilitate recovery, resilience, and sustainability in communities facing post-war reconstruction. Here are some key areas that could guide both research and practice in this context. 1. Integration of environmental education and emotional intelligence. In the post-war context, it is crucial to integrate environmental education and emotional intelligence development as complementary components in education and community recovery programs. Future research should explore how these two elements can be effectively combined to help communities manage trauma, rebuild their physical environment, and foster sustainable awareness. Programs could include activities that promote emotional self-awareness and empathy, along with knowledge of sustainable environmental practices. Second, community-based learning models. Post-war communities often possess deep local knowledge and traditional practices that can be valuable for sustainable reconstruction. Research should focus on developing and evaluating community-based learning models that use this local knowledge in combination with environmental literacy and emotional intelligence. These models can include community workshops, co-creation projects, and intergenerational learning, ensuring that all members of the community participate in and benefit from the reconstruction process. Third, psychosocial support and nature-based therapies. Mental health and emotional well-being are critical in post-war recovery. Psychosocial support programs that incorporate elements of emotional intelligence and environmental literacy may be particularly effective. Future research should investigate the efficacy of nature-based therapies, such as therapeutic gardening, ecotherapy, and outdoor activities, which can help individuals process trauma and develop a positive connection with their environment. Fourth, capacity building and community leadership. Fostering local leadership and building capacities in emotional intelligence and environmental literacy are essential for the long-term sustainability of post-war communities. Research can explore approaches to train community leaders, especially women and youth, to become environmental advocates and facilitators of conflict resolution. These programs can include training in project management, communication, and conflict resolution skills, and knowledge of sustainability and ecology. 5. Technologies and digital media for education and participation. Digital technologies and social media offer unique opportunities for environmental literacy and the promotion of emotional intelligence in post-war communities. Research can explore the use of digital platforms to provide continuing education, build support networks, and share success stories. Mobile apps, educational videos, and social media platforms can be used to disseminate information, connect people, and foster a community of learning and support. 6. Integrated impact assessment and measurement. It is important to develop integrated methods for evaluating the impact of environmental literacy and emotional intelligence development programs. Future research should focus on identifying key indicators of success that measure environmental as well as emotional and social outcomes. This includes the use of metrics to assess emotional well-being, community resilience, environmental knowledge, and the adoption of sustainable practices. 7. Environmental justice and equity perspective. In post-war communities, it is critical to address issues of environmental justice and equity in environmental literacy and emotional intelligence development programs. Research and practice must ensure that these programs are accessible to all members of the community, including those who are most vulnerable or marginalized. This includes considering the impact of factors such as gender, age, disability, and socioeconomic status on participation in and benefits from these programs. 8. Cross-sectoral policy and collaboration. Finally, research should explore how environmental literacy and emotional intelligence can be integrated into public policy and post-war reconstruction programs at local, national, and international levels. Collaboration between governments, NGOs, community organizations, and international agencies is key to developing policies and programs that support sustainable recovery and emotional well-being. Future directions for research and practice in this field should focus on integrated, inclusive, and adaptive approaches that consider both environmental and emotional well-being. In doing so, reconstruction processes can be supported that not only restore the physical environment, but also strengthen the resilience and social cohesion of war-affected communities. Policymakers need to recognize the interconnection between environmental literacy and emotional intelligence, and develop policies that integrate these elements in a coherent way. This involves designing educational programs that include both environmental education and emotional skills development, and ensuring that these policies are an integral part of reconstruction and sustainable development plans. A holistic approach can help address both ecological and social challenges, creating more resilient and self-reliant communities. Policies should encourage the active participation of local communities in decision-making and in the implementation of reconstruction programs. This is especially relevant in post-conflict contexts, where the inclusion of the voice of those affected is crucial to ensure that initiatives are relevant and effective. Policies should support the co-creation of solutions, drawing on local knowledge and traditional practices in combination with new approaches to sustainability and emotional management. It is vital that reconstruction policies include an explicit focus on environmental justice and equity. This means ensuring that all groups, including the most vulnerable, have access to the resources and benefits of environmental literacy and emotional development programs. Policies should address structural inequalities and provide additional support to those who face significant barriers, such as women, youth, people with disabilities, and internally displaced persons. Environmental education and emotional development programs should be a priority in education policy, especially in conflict-affected areas. This includes supporting the training of educators and community leaders on these issues, as well as the creation of curricula adapted to local realities. Lifelong learning should be encouraged, ensuring that community members can continue to develop their skills and knowledge as circumstances change. Policies should support the use of digital technologies and other innovative tools to expand the reach and effectiveness of environmental literacy and emotional development programs. This may include the use of online platforms for education, the creation of mobile applications for natural resource management and mental health, and the fostering of digital support networks. Policies should ensure that these technologies are accessible and affordable for all communities, including those with limited access to technology. It is crucial that policies include robust mechanisms for evaluating and monitoring the impact of environmental literacy and emotional development initiatives. This will help ensure that programs are meeting their objectives and provide useful data to adjust and improve policies. Evaluations should include both quantitative and qualitative metrics and consider both short and long-term impact on communities. Collaboration between different sectors, including government, NGOs, the private sector, and local communities, is essential to the success of these initiatives. Policies should encourage and facilitate these collaborations, ensuring that resources and knowledge are shared and that efforts are aligned towards common goals of sustainability and emotional well-being. Finally, the adequate allocation of financial and material resources to support environmental literacy and emotional development programs must be ensured. This includes not only funding for specific programs, but also investment in infrastructure such as community centers, libraries, and internet access, which are crucial to the success of these programs. In short, the implications for policy and decision-making in this area require a comprehensive and collaborative approach that addresses both environmental and emotional aspects. In doing so, policymakers can help build more resilient, sustainable, and cohesive communities, capable of dealing more effectively with future challenges. Toolkit 12. Seeds of Resilience: Building Sustainable and Emotionally Strong Communities. Title of the activity: Seeds of Resilience: Building Sustainable and Emotionally Strong Communities. Aim of the activity: to reflect on the importance of environmental literacy and emotional intelligence in rebuilding refugee and migrant communities, and to develop a community action plan that integrates both concepts. Participants will discuss how they can contribute to the sustainable and emotionally resilient development of their communities, both now and in the future. Activity description. This activity invites participants to design a community project that promotes environmental sustainability and emotional well-being in their communities. Through brainstorming, group discussions, and hands-on planning, participants will identify common problems in their environments, e.g. waste management, access to natural resources, or emotional support, and develop solutions that integrate environmental literacy and emotional intelligence. Materials needed: large paper or flip chart, colored markers, sticky notes, worksheets to guide project planning, including sections for objectives, activities, resources needed, and evaluation. Internet access, optional, to research project ideas or inspiring examples. Duration of the activity, 90 minutes. Group size, 10 to 30 people, working in groups of 4 to 6. Step-by-step instructions. Introduction to the activity, 10 minutes. Explain the importance of environmental literacy and emotional intelligence in building resilient communities. Discuss how these two approaches can help migrants and refugees adapt to their new environments, improve their quality of life, and contribute to the sustainability and cohesion of their communities. Local problem identification, 10 minutes. Ask participants to identify problems or challenges facing their communities on issues of environmental sustainability or emotional well-being. Encourage them to write these problems on sticky notes and place them on a mural or flip chart so that they can see the common concerns. Forming working groups, 5 minutes. Divide participants into groups of 4 to 6 people and assign them the task of selecting 1 or 2 problems from the sticky note mural that they want to address in their community. Each group will work on designing a project that combines sustainable solutions and emotional support to address these problems. Brainstorming and project planning, 30 minutes. Each group should brainstorm possible solutions and then come up with an action plan. You can guide the planning with these questions. How can this problem be tackled in a sustainable and environmentally friendly approach? How can emotional intelligence practices, such as empathy, stress management, or effective communication, improve project impact? What specific activities will you undertake to implement the project? What resources or support will they need? How will you measure the impact and success of the project? Groups should write their plans on worksheets or large paper to share with the rest of the group. Project presentation, 20 minutes. Each group presents its project to the rest of the participants, explaining how it will address the identified problem and how it will integrate environmental literacy and emotional intelligence in its implementation. After each presentation, allow a few minutes for questions and comments from the other groups. Final reflection and closing, 15 minutes. Facilitate a discussion on the importance of these projects to the community and how they can realistically be implemented. Ask questions such as, what challenges do you anticipate in the implementation of your projects? How could these projects strengthen the cohesion and resilience of their communities? What lessons do you learn about integrating environmental sustainability and emotional well-being? Reflection and closing. Conclude by reminding participants that sustainable development and emotional well-being are interconnected processes. Stress that by addressing these issues together, they are not only improving their own environments and relationships, but also contributing to the creation of a stronger, more inclusive, and resilient community. Evaluation of the activity, community impact mapping. Impact map, 5 minutes. At the end of the activity, invite each group to complete a community impact map on an additional sheet of paper. This map should include the changes they hope to bring about in the community, environmentally and emotionally. How they will measure these changes, qualitative or quantitative indicators. The steps they will take to ensure that the project has a lasting impact. Share impact map reflections, optional 5 minutes. Ask groups to share some key insights from their maps with the rest of the participants to inspire commitment from others and encourage shared responsibility for project implementation. Activity variance. Long-term project. This activity can be extended over several sessions, spending more time on the actual implementation of the projects in the community. Online version. For groups that cannot meet in person, This activity can be conducted on a virtual platform with online workrooms and whiteboards for groups to collaborate. Tips for the facilitator. Encourage creativity and openness. There are no wrong ideas, and all proposals should be respected and valued. If participants have difficulty thinking of problems or solutions, suggest some examples, such as the need to reduce waste, create green spaces, or improve support between neighbors. Encourage participants to think about how their projects can be sustainable in the long term, involving the community on an ongoing basis. Evaluation method. Evaluation is based on the quality of the projects presented, noting whether the groups manage to integrate concepts of environmental literacy and emotional intelligence. Community impact maps and active participation in the final reflection are also indicators of learning. Additional notes. This activity is ideal for groups that are starting to work on community initiatives or integration projects, as it identifies opportunities for action and collaboration. It is also suitable for raising awareness of the importance of sustainability and emotional well-being in rebuilding communities.